So here we are in the heart of the Midlands. We're in Redditch, at the very epicentre of fishing tackle manufacture in the UK. And here today we're going to talk to a really interesting guy, Gary Mills. He's the guy that's behind our new Cadence bespoke fly reel. So come on in and have a wee look and see what he's up to.
Ah, Mr. Gordon, I presume.
It is that. Aye, good to meet you, Gary.
Welcome to the mill tackle.
Aye, fantastic, pal.
Come
fantastic.
On in.
Great. Aye. Here we are in this amazing place. We're inside a workshop, in this man's workshop, a man who has been making fishing reels for, wait for it, since he was 16 years old. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Gary. So Gary Mills, tell us a wee bit about your story.
Yeah, when I was 16, I got a part-time job at JW Young's. When I was 16, I went straight into full-time employment.
What were you doing there? Was you like an apprentice or something at that time, Gary?
Well, no, I wanted to go into the RAF as a ground technician and mechanic, but Mr. Young asked me to stay, and he would show me the ropes of making fishing reels because I was a fisherman, interested in fishing. So that's what I'd done. I had 2 years making springs and gears.
So that was like the apprentice?
Yeah.
Or the apprenticeship?
No official apprenticeship,
yeah,
but it was 2 years making springs and gears, 2 years in the machine shop, 6 months in the tool room, making the tools for the springs, etc. And then into the assembly to design and help build the reels and go from there.
Amazing. Yeah. And we've got all sorts of machinery through there that we're going to have a wee look at, Gary. But I mean, the main one in there now is a CNC machine. But how did it go before that?
Yeah, everything was turned by hand pre-1970s. In 1989, JW Young got their first CNC. Yep. Which is the actual machine I've got outside.
That we're going to see out there.
That we're going to see. That was the first machine bought by JW Young's. Yep. It's got sold in 2001 to a bathroom company, of all people. But then in 2008, I was lucky enough to get it back.
Okay. And so Gary has put together an amazing bit of kit here that we've been working on, and this is the new Cadence bespoke fly reel. So it's of our own design, and we're going to have Colin outside talk a wee bit to Gary about this. But Gary, tell us a wee bit more about the material behind this reel here.
It's aircraft grade aluminium, the best aluminium that we can buy. It's free machining, anodizing quality, so it anodizes the colour really well. There's no paint to flake or chip.
Okay, so there's no paint on here, so it's
no
all
paint.
anodized.
It's anodized.
Okay, cool. And so for me, it's very, very lightweight, but really quite strong as well, this?
Yes.
Yep.
We've done something a little bit special, which I know I'm going to talk about to Colin.
Yes.
About the actual makeup of the spool. Yes. Which is where it gets its lightness from.
Aye. Well, I can't wait to hear that, and I can't actually wait to hear or see what you're going to do out here on this machine, Gary, because for me it is incredible. Although my interest in fishing is really rods, but when I walked into your shop here, in your workshop, I thought, oh my God, that's just so fantastic. It's really amazing to see, and amazing to think that you basically put every screw, everything on this reel is made here in this workshop.
I'm a reel maker.
Yes.
So I believe in making every component. I won't let anybody make anything else.
Magic.
I have to do it. My son joined me a few years ago, about 14 years ago. My son joined me, and so he helps me now. Yep. But it's just the two of us making the reels.
How many reels have you made in your lifetime, Gary?
That's a big question.
Oh, good question that is.
At one stage I used to make 50,000 a year.
Wow.
And at this moment in time I'm down to about 500.
And we were talking earlier on about a specific reel that we both kind of liked, and it was the Atlantic Salmon Reel.
The Atlantic Salmon.
And that was a fantastic bit of kit. A really fantastic bit of kit. So how many of them did you make?
I believe it was 180.
Wow. So there's 180 of them in circulation.
It's one of my favourite reels, the Atlantic Salmon. A different beast to what we've got here.
Absolutely.
Because this is a traditional reel and that had a disc drag system in it.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a lovely reel.
But it's all kind of stuff that we could work on in the future, Gary.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Brilliant. So I think we should go outside and have a wee look at the machinery and see what's all happening there.
Yeah, by all means.
Aye. Yep. So here we are at the CNC machine with Gary, who's now going to show us how this block of aluminium gets turned into this lovely reel. And Colin, I'm going to hand you over to talk about the questions that you want to ask Gary, because you've been a big part of this process. Okay, so there you go.
There's the billet. Okay, thanks Ian. Thanks for the intro. Okay, Gary, we'll just go through the machine. It was all machined from top grade aluminium, so Gary will just show you how it all starts.
This is bar stock, and we've sized the billet, faced it up so it's nice and square. I'll make sure it's running nice and true into the machine. Shut it up. That's my suds. So now we've actually got coolant on the job.
That sounds like it's just about done, Gary. Let's have a look, see what this lovely old machine's produced. There you go. We've got the central hole to take the spindle.
Give it a wipe for you so you don't get no suds on your hand.
Yep, I'm not bothered about suds, I'm used to that.
The back will be a little bit sharp.
Yep. So there you go, there's the basis of the design of a reel. That's the raw frame of the reel. It will all be machined round here eventually in another machine. So there you go, it's done its job. Might be an old machine, but it's perfect.
5 minutes 37 seconds.
Well done, pal. Yeah, lovely.
We then test the different gauges for the bore to make sure the bore works and the OD is right before we go on to the next stage.
Excellent. Yeah, well done. All the screws for this reel are actually made in this factory by hand. And this is the little slotting machine. You notice a screw with these modern screws have like fancy heads, but these have just got old-fashioned slots in them, right? So Gary's going to quickly show us how this very old slotting machine works, but it's a lovely old bit of kit.
What we've got is a little collet. Before they're slotted, they're machined, and there's no screwdriver slot. So the collet drops in. It's already set to a stop. We switch it on, the blade goes round, and we machine it up.
And that's it.
It's best to turn it off.
Yeah, switch it off.
Yeah.
And there you go.
There we have the slot and the screw. And every single screw in the reel is slotted by myself.
So everything is done in this little factory. Thanks, Gary. After Ian's original concept with the reel, it was up to Gary and myself to come up with the design of a reel. We were looking for certain things. First thing had to be a good lightweight reel that would balance the cadence rods, and the second thing was the reel had to be strong and really robust and made from really good materials that wouldn't wear, and it just needed to look the part as well. Everything to do with this reel, you know, the cosmetics and everything, you know, we had to get right from the word go. Designed for capacitors of the reel, I'll just show you quickly these two. That particular spool there is slightly smaller in arbor than that one there. Reason being is a lot of these older type reels that were made years ago had a small spindle in the middle, and as a consequence you had to put 500 or 600 yards of backing on, before you could put a fly line on, just to fill the reel up. So we came up with this arbor in between the spindle and the mid-arbor reel. That allows you to put 400 or 500 yards of modern backing and a fly line on still today. The spare spool that you can order with the reel will come with a mid-arbor. That is designed basically to take shooting head lines and running lines and still get 200 or 300 yards of backing on. So that was a concept with the spools. We needed to have the spool didn't not need to wear on the reel, right? So we talked a lot about a bush, didn't we?
We have, yes.
And
the manganese bronze bush that we use against the stainless steel spindle is self-lubricating. We still need to lubricate it. It's not something like a bearing which you can leave, but we still do need to lubricate it a bit. Manganese bronze has got a very hard wearing process. The old ones were brass, but today we've gone with manganese bronze.
And inside there we put a top grade aluminium spindle, I believe, Gary.
Stainless steel.
Is it stainless steel?
It is, yep. It's a lovely stainless steel. No grinding, it's all turned and polished. We don't need to grind anymore with the tolerances that we can achieve on CNCs. So it's turned and then polished.
No, that's excellent. So that now is not going to wear. We're pretty confident we're not going to get anywhere in that at all over many years.
Many years.
And then we talked about springs, because this is a click pull reel, right? And with a click pull reel, you know, you've got to have good quality springs and good quality pulls. I would quickly just take the spool off this reel, right? And so you can see, you'll notice in there we've got two pulls, a left and a right hand, and those lovely springs all fit in. But that was an integral part of it. The pulls were an integral part of it. They mustn't wear, and they must give it the reel that classic sound that you want from a really nice salmon reel. So we've achieved all that.
The thing about the check pull is we have a right and a left-handed one, so the check pull needs to point to the spindle to create that ratchet. Yeah. So if you don't want, if you want it right-hand wind, you just point the check pull down and turn that check pull on. If I may, just point that reel to the spindle, and that's as easy as to change from left to right-hand wind.
Excellent, and so simple. One of the concepts of this reel was to keep it simple. I'll put the spool back on and explain one other feature of the reel. Now, a lot of click pull reels, right, didn't have an exposed rim. And it was important that, because we haven't at the moment got a mechanism for adjusting the tension of the pull, have we? So, but their concept was that you could palm the rim of the reel when you've got a big salmon on, right? So all these reels have an external rim. Now, let's talk about capacitors as well of the reel. One of the big things that we were trying to achieve was the right capacitors. Now, that is the standard arbor on that reel there, with the new Cadence line on it, which is that one, right? And if you'll notice on that there's quite a bit of room, right, still on the top of the fly line. That reel has got 200 yards of backing on it and the full Cadence spay line on there, 10 weight spay line, and you can easily see you could put 300-400 yards of backing on that if you were going to Norway or somewhere like that, and it would easily take a full 10-11 spay line. Right. The mid-arbor reel, the one that I talked about that you can buy as an extra, that one has actually got 200 yards of backing on, and it's also got a running line for a shooting head on there, and one of the new Cadence 9-10 weight shooting heads on it. And you can see again, there's plenty of room for a bigger, heavier line. So the spools, a lot of thought's gone into the design of the spools, and I think we're bang on where we want to be, aren't we?
With the design of the spool, the thing is about it, trying to get it as light as possible. When you machine a solid spool, having a mid-arbor, you've got a lot of material inside the spool. So what we came up with is making a tube. It's machined from solid, so it anodizes the same colour. So it's machined from solid, and it fits onto the spool with the spindle going down the hook, the bush going down through the centre. Now that has taken all of the weight out of a solid drum spool. So that's where this spool has come into its own by giving us the lightness but the larger arbor.
Superb, yeah. Well, I'm really pleased with the way it's taken us probably 5 or 6 months to actually get the design right. And I'm really happy with it now, and I hope the fishermen will be happy with it. Let's talk about a couple of other things, the foot and the handle, if we could, Gary.
Yep, the reel seat we make again from solid. It's made into a tube again, and then we split it on a mandrel, and we get 4 components out of each piece.
Sensible, isn't it?
The handle, which is Cadence own design and size, we cannot buy it in round, so we have to buy it in square.
I know it caused a bit of a pain to machine the square, but you've got over it, haven't you?
We have. We turn it to round before we can actually put it into the machine. The handle has a receptor cup on the bottom, but with a lot of old fashion reels, they had the collet or the cup underneath the handle.
They used to collect grit and dirt.
Collects the oil and the grease what you put in won't wash the dirt away.
No.
It holds in that cup. So we've created the washer underneath that when you wash it, it just wash the oil away, the grease away and the dirt. And
the other nice thing is, when the handle turns, when you look at it sort of down, the camera won't quite pick that up right, but you can see the brass sort of collet at the bottom there, right, and the handle spins on that. So spinning the handle is not going to wear the surface of the reel.
It won't wear the spindle.
It'll only, and the likelihood of it wearing brass over 10, 20 years is pretty remote, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's the reel. We're really pleased with it. I'm sure it's one of the nicest looking reels that I've ever seen as well. And it's a beautiful thing to use. We've field trialed it. There's a few out there now for people to try. And I'm really happy with it, mate. Well done.
Can I just say about the actual feature of the rim? We've made the rim very robust on the rim, because a lot of rim reels actually, when they get banged and knocked, they do dent and they bang. So we've tried to make the cage as thick and as solid as possible. Yeah. So we are quite confident that if it does get dropped on stones and rocks, you're not going to bend and catch. As you rotate it, it should not catch.
And another nice thing is the anodizing as well is done in the UK, I believe.
It is. It's down to 22 micron. It's great quality aluminium, anodized in England, in Manchester. We send it all the way to Manchester to have it anodized.
Wonderful. So there you go, folks. A British fly reel made by Gary at the Mills Tackle, and it's just a wonderful bit of kit, and I hope you enjoy using it, all you fishermen.
Danny, just before we leave, having seen through your fantastic workshop, there's one last thing, and that is this amazing engraving machine, and that gives us the ability to engrave pretty much anything we want on here. We can personalise these reels because they are bespoke, made by Gary's great hands in this workshop. So that's the very last thing that we're going to do here, and Gary, I think it's maybe time to press the button now.
Yep, for this reel we've personalised this reel for this gentleman here. Let's press it. And it's as quick as that.
So that's it, Gary?
Yeah, it's a fibre optic laser, very, very quick.
I cannot believe that it's done it in that speed. I'm kind of looking in there waiting for it to happen, and it's done. Incredible. That's an amazing visit to an amazing factory to meet a guy who produces this amazing reel. So here we are with Mr. Robin Coleman, having been down at the factory with Gary, who produces this most wonderful reel of ours. We're now up here to Mr. Robin Coleman, who, as we can see in this fantastic little office, his game is leather, and we thought we would have a really nice sort of packaging for this product. So we wanted the best. So we've come to the best. He's a fisherman and a man that I first met 20 years ago, Robin.
Aye. 20
years ago, back in the partridge days. So it's magic to be here in your workshop and to see that everything here is like handmade by your good self, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I, as a salmon angler and being very keen on for a long time, and being a saddler, it's always gives you the urge to try and create something that suits both things, both your craft and trade, and you'll get benefit from. And I've always fumbled about making various fly cases and reel cases, but this is something close to my heart. It's a wonderful reel.
Well, when you're talking about a wonderful reel, it really deserves a nice bit of packaging. And can you tell us a wee bit more about the leather that you're making this with, Robin? Because it looks lovely. And I tell you, as soon as I come into this room, I could smell the leather. I just love the smell of the leather.
I often get people walking here during the week in the summertime, and they say, "What do you do in here?" It's got to be something to do with leather. And they're walking up the lane. I can't smell it all the time if I'm away for a week.
Because you're there with it all the
Great
time.
when I come back. But the material we're using is a very high grade cowhide. It measures at 3 mil. It's a natural veg tan leather, which is traditional quality tannage. It's a lovely colour. It just goes with the...
I think it finishes off our product so well, Robin. And when I saw the quality, I have to say, I was just like, blown away with it, you know, because we'd went to some effort to make this reel.
Absolutely.
And I think when you've went to some effort to make a reel, you really do want to take the time and finish it properly. So it is just the most amazing product, I have to say. And we've got our name stamped on there, and we can kind of personalise stuff as well. So it's like, it's something seriously special. And that's exactly what we want from this product. So it's great to come up into this amazing workshop and see, how long ago did you start doing this, Robin?
Crikey, 62 years was my first introduction to this 62 years ago.
Oh my God. And who was that from?
It was I rode ponies and horses, and the saddler in Coventry, Peter Lewin, he just asked me if I was interested in a Saturday job in his shop. And it was better than a newspaper round.
At the time. So nice to be inside rather than out.
Absolutely. And that pulled me to it. And in my lunch breaks from the shop, I used to spend time with the saddlers, and I just had an absolute focus on working with this material.
Have you any favourite jobs that you can remember that you did and you thought, wow, I really like doing that?
Many.
Aye, but nothing that stands out. There's not one that you think, oh my God, that's just a fantastic achievement.
I did the luggage first for Aston Martin, which is something I'm still doing.
Oh wow, Aston Martin. So James Bond. So you're making stuff for Jimmy Bond as well.
I did the props for the James Bond film, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was sworn to secrecy.
Oh right, okay. Well, that's maybe a good thing, and it's maybe something that we'll probably cut out of the wee video here. We don't want James Bond coming up and putting a gun to the back of your head, pal. That's for sure. Yeah, but I know it's been an absolute pleasure, I have to say, Robin, talking to you about this, which is the cherry on the top of this fantastic product, all made locally here in Redditch.
Flying the flag, I think that's so important.
Flying the flag for everything made in the UK. Craftsmen at their absolute best. It's great, and it's great to be involved with such craftsmen as yourself. So here, Robin, put it there, pal. Thanks very much for your time, and thanks very much for this wonderful bit of kit. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Good.
It's been a pleasure.
Good.